ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So I'm just going to recap important points discussed in this purport so far. So chanting of the holy name of Krishna even once, offenseless chanting of the holy name of Krishna even once, um, results in destruction of all sins, all desires, as well as ignorance, which is the root cause of sin. And if somebody takes the holy name of the Lord's mind dwells on that person, and he thinks, this person belongs to me, I will always protect him. Even though a single one holy name can destroy all sins, desires for sin, ignorance, etc., why do still devotees, like why did Ajamila still continue to live sinfully? Uh, so for this, first is Ajamila's sins which lasted till his death were like bites of a toothless snake and did not generate results, number one. Number two, Lord himself will cause continuance of sin in order that other philosophies like Karma Kanda, Gnana Kanda, etc. will not be completely uprooted. Mm. And we also discussed saying that if one doesn't trust, doesn't have faith in these words of the Shastra, which are stated in Padma Purana, Katyayana Samhita, etc. If they interpret the name saying that no, all these benefits is not possible, then he will go to hell. Then, and there is specific mention about smartas and others, though knowing scriptures and though chanting the name, they continue their existence in this frightful samsara because of the offense of interpreting the name. Though sin is completely uprooted just by chanting the name even once, in most cases the name shows its fruits to the world after some time, or in some cases it doesn't even show. However, um, the end of the life of a devotee, name takes the person who chanted without offense to the Lord's abode. And there's this example about how a merchant protects a person under shelter according to the degree of that person, according to the degree that the person surrenders to him. If the person offends him, the merchant becomes displeased with him and does not give protection. And once the person asks for forgiveness, um, according to the degree of his uh, surrender, then the mercy will be reinstated. Name acts similarly. And we discuss how those people who are engaged in karma kanda and gnana kanda, they treat bhakti as a secondary process, secondary practice. In fact, they are, and we discussed that, considering holy name, chanting of holy name is as one punya karma is also an offense, is the eighth offense. So those karmis, gnanis who consider bhakti as a secondary practice are also offending the name. We'll continue from there. Though recognizing that they have offended her, out of compassion, Bhakti Devi thinks Karma Yoga and these other processes should not be fruitless since they have accepted a small portion of her shelter. Thus, though she has become only a limb of karma, she gives the results of karma, gnana, and other processes without obstruction. So, though it is an offense to consider to take bhakti as a secondary process, subordinate or yeah, not being as as a subordinate process. But still, Bhakti Devi thinks, no, no, if I don't accept their whatever secondary practice of bhakti, then they won't even get results from their karma yoga. So let me accept it. So she, out of compassion, accepts that secondary practice of bhakti that they do. Mm. Similarly, when bhakti is a limb of atonement, she destroys the sins in those persons practicing atonements. It is not otherwise. And those who do not perform atonements go to hell. But if somebody does atonement even by chanting the holy name, Bhakti Devi still, out of compassion, just mm, accepts it. Mm. However, if persons commit other offenses, such as interpreting the name or committing offense to the devotee, and then perform dharma and other process, Bhakti Devi gives them no results for their efforts, even though she is still a limb of dharma and other processes. So here, what is being said is, if they commit other offenses, now this is just if okay, let me clarify this. So if some karmi or jnani just considering bhakti as a secondary process without any intention to offend, just that they don't know and they just think, okay, bhakti also I should perform so that I get results, then Bhakti Devi is compassionate on her and gives results. But if somebody is engaged in karma and jnana, they do other offenses like interpreting the name or committing offense to a devotee, then they won't get any result. So whether we are aware or not aware, whether we are ignorant or in knowledge, somehow we should not be doing any of the offenses. Otherwise, whether bhakti is practiced as primary process or secondary process, it will not. Chanting the holy name is practiced as primary process or secondary process, it will not give any result. But if the persons become free from offense and dedicate themselves to chanting, they will get the results for their karma and gnana in proportion to the destruction of offenses. So the same that merchant example. However, with complete destruction of offense by association with devotees, attainment of results of chanting is certain by the direct mercy of Bhakti Devi. When such people who are engaged in karma yoga, gnana yoga, etc., they come in touch with devotees and all their offense is destroyed, then they will attain results of chanting by the direct mercy of Bhakti Devi. So, and by the association of devotees, they might convert from being a karma yogi to a bhakti yogi. From the words of the servants of Yama, it is understood that Ajamila was previously involved in karma. Oh, okay. So this is an important point. So I was thinking he was a devotee. So here they're saying he was not a devotee, but performed bhakti secondarily. And therefore, all his sons should not have been removed by chanting. That is true. And by sinful acts like drinking, his status as a Brahmana was destroyed. What to speak of his pious acts of karma? Ajamila was a Brahmana who, because of bad association, had given up all Brahminical culture and religious principles. Becoming most fallen, he stole, drank, and performed other abominable acts. He even kept a prostitute. When his pious karmas were destroyed, his secondary bhakti was also destroyed. Then pure bhakti appeared when he called out the name of his son Narayana. Okay, so this is a little bit complicated. So here he's saying, okay, he was engaged in karma yoga, um, and he was engaged in karma yoga. but he was doing bhakti as a secondary process. Mm. So when because of all his sins, uh, when because then he gave up his pious life, karma yoga life, and he engaged in sins. Uh, so because of his sins, all his pious karmas were destroyed. Along with that, secondary bhakti was also destroyed. Mm. But when he called out the name of his son Narayana, then pure bhakti appeared. So let me just try to explain this. See, those who are engaged in this in Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, etc., it is a pious process. It is based on piety. So they engage in pious activities. Now, however, if such people engage in sinful activities, then their pious results are destroyed. Now, even though bhakti is so powerful, bhakti is independent because they have taken bhakti as a secondary process, but they gave up the primary process itself, so the secondary process also got destroyed, even though bhakti is so powerful. Because bhakti is acting as subordinate to their main process. So, because of his sinful life, his pious credits got destroyed. Along with that, the credits that he got from bhakti also got destroyed. So, his, um till he took the name of Narayana offenselessly, even though he had practiced secondary bhakti, it did not destroy did not destroy sins. But when he started taking the name of Narayana offenselessly and as the primary process, mm, then he got the results. Mm. Sometimes Shastra says that one should perform bhakti as a limb of karma or gnana. That is just to give mercy to persons with crooked mentality who have no faith in bhakti. But if they have faith in karma and gnana, so then they will be told, okay, you also do a little bit bhakti. Mm. By particle of bhakti, all the greatest sins are destroyed. Mm. Anyway, but the important point is that if they do any offense, that offense is not destroyed. Sins might be destroyed by this, by the secondary process of chanting. Sins might be destroyed, but if they offend, then the chanting will not protect them. So we have to be away from offenses. Mm. So let me again, I'll recap. It's a little bit complicated. So those who are engaged in karma and gnana, primary process of you, they are trying to use karma and gnana and trying to achieve something from that karma and gnana process, right? But they can't achieve any result because Shastra says that they have to still do bhakti to achieve results of their karma and gnana process also. So then they take bhakti as a secondary process. Now in this there are two types of people: those who take up bhakti as secondary process but don't end up in any offense. For them, bhakti, secondary process of bhakti results in them getting their primary result, meaning if they're engaged in karma, whatever is the result of their karma, they will get because they're not offending. But if somebody offends, then bhakti will stop acting as a secondary process and will not give them the result of their karma or their gnana. Yeah, so this is for people who are engaged in karma yoga or gnana yoga and using bhakti as a secondary process. So for them, bhakti is required to get the results of their primary process. But if they offend, then they will not get the result of their primary process. Okay, so this is for karma and people who are engaged in karma and gnana. And here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Ajamila was also actually engaged in karma and had bhakti as a secondary process. Hmm. But what he did was, in his life situation was different. He gave up the pious activity itself. He gave up the karma yoga itself and he engaged in sin. So his karma yoga primary process also he dropped, then the secondary bhakti also dropped. And so he didn't get any result from that. But because of some reason, right, he was able to take the name of Narayana and he took the name of Narayana offenselessly. So it kind of became the primary process for him. and then gave results. Okay. Is this okay? Any confusion? We don't have to delve too much into this, but we have to just understand that Ajamila was not, he was not a devotee. He was engaged in karma yoga. Hmm. Karma, actually, it said it was engaged in karma, and but he performed bhakti secondarily. So it is karma mishra bhakti or karma yoga.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hmm.
What kind of secondary bhakti was he performing just by calling out the name of his son Narayan?
No, no, no. This was in his childhood. So like his father was worshipping Narayana. So he used to go and get some, roots, fruits, etc. from the forest. Just assisting services he was doing. He was
Okay.
not chanting. He might have been chanting some mantras because he was a Brahmana. So he would have done all that, whatever some chanting, etc. He would have done. But he did not do with the intention of pleasing the Supreme Lord. He was just doing as a part of okay, see, those people who follow Varnashrama Dharma, they might take up this Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. For them, they also have some angas of bhakti as part of their life, but they only treat it as secondary process. Their main focus is Karma Yoga. So it could have been a typical Brahmana life, right? Who is not a devotee. Will have secondary process of bhakti in their life. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Understood.
Yeah. Okay. Now we'll go forward. Hmm. Okay, 1 second. Okay, if there is somebody who is offender, if somebody who's taken the path of karma or jnana and who have become offenders, if they accept a Vaishnava guru by Vaishnava initiation, take shelter of Bhakti Devi purely or as the primary process, but it could be mixed also, like Mishra Bhakti, and then worship the Lord by chanting, they are still called Vaishnavas. So which means, okay, so somebody who takes karma as the primary process and bhakti as the secondary process is different from somebody who takes bhakti as the primary process but still has some karma. So one is called karma mishra bhakti, the other is bhakti mishra karma. Hmm. So which means in one process karma is predominant, in the other process bhakti is predominant. But in this second type where bhakti is predominant, still if they are not pure, they may that means they still have some desires. It's okay. They are engaged in bhakti but with some material desires, but they are still considered Vaishnavas because the primary process is bhakti. Now, according to the degree of bhakti, they attain destruction of offenses. And according to the degree of Bhakti Devi's mercy, they attain the principal result of bhakti, which is prema. Hmm. So, uh, these are other offenses, right? All the offenses that we are talking about. So, we have to try to restrain ourselves, be away from offenses. Mm, but if we are engaging in very intense bhakti, then the offenses will also get destroyed. And according to the degree of Bhakti Devi's mercy, they attain principal result of bhakti, which is prema. The Lord Himself says, to the degree that the Atma becomes purified by hearing and chanting my glories, a person is able to perceive my real form and qualities and experience their sweetness, just as the eye, when smeared with special ointment, is able to see finer objects. Um, Yeah, Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantastho Yabhadrani Vidinoti Surutsatam. Krishna, who purifies a person by the processes of hearing and chanting, and who is the benefactor of the devotees who hear about him, enters the hearts of the devotees and destroys their sins. So, I think here the words are being little bit mixed up, I think. Mm. Chanting the Lord. Okay, so here one more thing is being talked about, saying that for those who are chanting with offenses, they have to gradually go through the 14 stages or whatever, 9 stages of bhakti. Um, Ado Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, all that gradually. Mm. And the chanting the Lord's glories purifies them. And as it purifies, then they become free from their offenses and then they attain the Lord. But this is a gradual process. Mm. But however, for persons without offense, attainment of the Lord is quick. Such persons have only 2 stages, chanting the Lord's name, attaining Vaikuntha. Such is the case of Ajamila. Okay, so let me clarify this is important. Um, okay. See, for so there is a Ashtanga yogi also, right? There's Ashtanga yogi and there's a Bhakti yogi. Now, Ashtanga yogi or Ashtanga yogi who has material desires, mm, he is expected to do dhyana on Virat Rupa. Okay. But a Ashtanga yogi who has no material desires, he meditates on Paramatma. And after meditating on Paramatma, he does Shat Chakra Yoga and he goes through what is called as Krama Mukti, gradual process of liberation. So he meditates on Paramatma, then he goes to Maharloka, Janaloka, etc., then goes to Brahmaloka, and with Brahma, he also goes to Vaikuntha. Provided he doesn't have material desires, meaning he doesn't want to achieve any superior higher planets or some Ashtasiddhis or nothing. He has no material desires. So there are two paths for Ashtanga yogis. One is those with material desires, they have the process of Virat Rupa meditation, and those without material desires, they will directly meditate on Paramatma and they will attain mukti, which is called as Karma Mukti. Now, for devotees also there are two paths. A Bhakta yogi, who is a Bhakta yogi who has primary process as devotion. Mm. Now, if this person is offending, is doing offenses, then he has to go through the gradual processes of bhakti, which is Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, etc. Which is what most of us go through because we are doing Nama Prada, Seva Prada, Vaishnava Prada, etc. So we have to go through the gradual process, then get punished for our offenses, get rectified, and slowly move through various stages. And as we are chanting the holy name every day continuously, the purification keeps happening. So we become pure, pure. So we stop, our offenses reduce, our sins anyway reduce, offenses reduce, etc. And slowly we'll become eligible to go to Krishna. This is the normal case. But for Ajamila, he had a special situation because he chanted the holy name without offense, meaning he didn't fall down to Nama Prada. He just chanted without offense continuously and immediately attained Vaikuntha. So there were only 2 stages in his bhakti. Is this clear? So somebody was asking question. So if we do chanting without offense and then we fall down to committing offenses, then we have to go through the gradual process of bhakti, right? Go through the stages Ado, Shraddha, Tata, Sadhu, Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. Then we'll go through Anartha Nivrutti, then Nishta, then Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. These are the various stages before we can achieve Krishna Prema, right? Uh, but for somebody who is not doing any offense, meaning he started chanted without offenses, and then didn't fall down to Nama Parada, which was Ajamila. So he achieved Vaikuntha directly. So this is what The devotees who are before the end of this life, if they are able to move through all the multiple stages, then they will achieve by Krishna. Otherwise, they might have to take on one more life and then continue from there where they left off for all the offenses. We are not able to make fast progress. However, some devotees without offense who desire to attain a special prema are delayed in attaining the Lord. Okay, so this is one more condition. Sometimes, so those devotees who are without offense, actually they are supposed to, in two stages, they will achieve Krishna. But some devotees, even though they are not committing any offense, who desire to attain a special prema, special prema. So this is another consideration. For example, suppose say you are doing bhakti and you are now, you feel your constitutional position is being revived and you feel that, okay, you want to serve Krishna as a Manjari or a Gopi, for example. Now that is a special prema. Now, for those who want that special prema, till they become qualified for that special prema, there will be delay in attaining the Lord. For instance, Jadabharata took 3 lives to attain the Lord. Okay, this is one thing. Hmm. Now, what happens to those devotees who are doing offense? If they are not properly doing their bhakti, they do not destroy previous sins. If they are not worshipping the Lord properly, they do not destroy previous sins and continue to sin and to be offenders. They do not go to hell like normal sinners because they are doing bhakti. They do not go to hell, right? But they have to again take bath and take birth again, and then gradually they have to make progress. Yeah, so then he will take bath and slowly, steadily, he will come through, become free from all these offenses, sins, etc. Uh, and he will attain the mercy of Bhakti Devi. Okay, so there are multiple scenarios. Right, so we'll just talk about devotees. We'll not talk about. So Ajamila's situation, just to understand Ajamila's situation, Ajamila was not considered a devotee in the earlier part of his life. He was considered a person who was on the path of karma and he was practicing bhakti as a secondary process. But in course of time, because of his sinful life, he gave up the pious life. He gave up that path of karma, which is varnashrama dharma, and also gave up his secondary bhakti. Mm. But somehow he was able to take the name of Narayana at the end of his life without offense, and then bhakti became the primary process, right? And because he chanted the names of Narayana without offense, continuously without offense, he immediately attained Vaikuntha. So this is the fastest way to achieve the Lord, is to just simply chant the holy name without offense. But for those devotees who are chanted the holy name at least once, but are committing offenses, they have to go through the gradual process of rectification. Now, there is one more scenario where a devotee is chanted once without offense, but then he is doing offense and also he is committing sin. Then also they will not go to hell. They might have to continue the bhakti in their next life till they become purified. Mm. But if somebody doesn't commit sin, intentional sin, this is. See, there are two types of sins also. One is unintentional sin, meaning just by like that previously we read, no? So sometimes it's just like a fan. So all though the sinful propensities, everything is destroyed, still externally it looks like some sins are being committed, but that is unintentional. then that sin doesn't have any give any result, right? But if somebody is intentionally sinning, doing sinful activities, then first he has to be purified of all sins, for which he is chanting every day, but his sinful propensity also has to go. So first sinful propensity has to go, then his offenses have to stop, then only he can achieve Krishna. So it becomes a gradual process. But for those who are not offending at all, even if by chance they are sinning, the power of chanting is so much that they will achieve perfection. So the important learning here is to not do namaparad. This is the important thing here, because sins are nothing in front of the holy name. Sins will get destroyed if we are not intentionally sinning. Sins will get destroyed, and there's no issue, right? It's a very minor thing in front of chanting the holy name. Because once we have chanted offenselessly, then all the sins are anyway destroyed. But if we are chanted once offenselessly, but then subsequently we are chanting with offense, and we are also committing sins, then both have to be rectified. Sins anyway will get rectified with regular chanting, provided we are not doing intentional sin on the name, on the strength of the holy name. But yeah, for whatever, because of bad association, etc., if we are still committing sins, then uh, if we are also doing aparadas along with that, then it is going to take time. So, okay, let me rephrase this whole topic. If so, we are all chanting now Hare Krishna. Okay. Now, if you want to achieve Krishna immediately, then we have to just chant without offense. Okay. But if we chant with offense, then it will be a gradual process. Then on top of that, if we are doing sins, then it will be a still gradual process. Okay. Now for questions. Yeah, Shashank.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, another third point you mentioned that it will be delayed.
Hmm.
Prabhu, for
That is, yeah,
example,
okay. That is another point, which is for special prema.
yeah, Prabhu, for example, like
Hmm?
say for example, we have a desire like to be as a best friend for Krishna or to have food or to
No,
play with
spiritual
Krishna.
desires are not considered as desires. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. So you want to become Krishna's friend.
like yeah, like that, then it'll be like delayed, Prabhu. Then
Yeah.
is it like that?
Yeah. Any special prema, any of these
Like
special prema means
Subala,
Vatsalya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya might get delayed. I mean, it's not like it's not, see, nothing here is cast on stone, cast in stone, right? It is completely, ultimately the mercy of Krishna, mercy of Bhakti Devi, right? But it is saying, it said that, okay, it might be delayed also. Mm.
okay,
Okay.
Prabhu. Yeah, the delayed it got just stuck, Prabhu. So I just asked because
Mm.
in what terms I don't know, like whether the mercy giving or in what from how it is getting delayed. I just got there first.
Mm. Okay. Anything else? Is it clear? Very complicated. Anybody wants to summarize? So I can know that you have understood. Otherwise, you can ask. I can again try to summarize.
Hare Krishna,
You would.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, please summarize once more, Prabhuji.
Please
I
Okay.
didn't
summarize
understand.
once more.
Okay. Why I have to push so much to ask devotees to say? I'm asking. If you don't understand, please tell again. Because It's so important that we have to try and understand this. Okay. So, summarizing. So I'm only talking about the life of a devotee. I'm not talking about Ajamila for now, okay? Because Ajamila started from karma process and then he came to bhakti. So he had bhakti as a secondary process. Then he gave up everything. Then he made bhakti as a primary process. Okay, that's Ajamila. Now for a devotee, so when a devotee chants, comes in contact with Krishna consciousness, starts chanting. If he chants without offense even once, all his sins are destroyed. Old sins, new sins, everything will be destroyed, right? However, if the and that is if that person continues to remain chanting offenselessly, then even if by chance some sins are being committed, etc., it will be like snake without with toothless snake, so no effect, and he can directly go to Vaikuntha. So first scenario is chanting totally without offense, not falling down to the stage of Namaparada. Is this clear?
Yes, brother.
Yes.
Okay, so chanting without offense destroys all sins, old and possible what get committed in the future also, and everything will get destroyed. Propensity to sin will also go. Everything will go, and he will directly go to Vaikuntha. Two-stage process to achieve Vaikuntha or Goloka. Now, second is a person who is chanted offenselessly, but he then falls down to the stage of offenses: Nama Prada, Seva Prada, Vaishnava Prada. Now, for this person, he has to continue to do his bhakti, and and he also has to try to give up the offensive attitude, give up offenses, right? Because offenses are all mostly intentional, and based on knowledge, we can actually give up offenses, and we have to put effort. This is our sadhana bhakti. Okay, then the devotee will go through gradual process because anarthas are there because of which he is either doing sins or he is committing offenses. So then he'll go through the gradual process. Anartha nivritti takes a long time. Then he goes through nishta, ruchi, asakti, bhava, prema. And through this process, there will be little bit of, Krishna will, some amount of suffering will be there in the devotee's life to help him come out of all the offenses, all the aparadas, all the anarthas. And as the person comes out of the offenses, then he will become purified and he will go to Krishna. It's a gradual process. It might take one lifetime, it might take multiple lifetimes. In the in There is one more possibility where, in addition to offenses, there are sins. Okay, let me differentiate offenses and sins. Offenses are very simple. Seva aparada, nama aparada, Vaishnava aparada. It's only related to bhakti. These are mistakes that a person is doing in connection with bhakti, which we will discuss what they are, right? But then people might also, devotees might also end up doing sins, breaking four regulative principles or whatever generally is considered papa. Somebody might do that. Now, if they do it unintentionally or as a force of previous conditioning, etc., which is still okay. But if they're intentionally sinning, especially on the strength of the holy name, etc., then they have one more burden also to be eradicated, the sin, which is also coming from anarthas only, right? Basically, anarthas have to get destroyed. Then gradually sins will get destroyed. Then offenses will also get destroyed, and they will achieve Krishna. But this might take one or more lifetimes. Then third scenario is somebody who wants special prema, meaning somebody wants to serve Krishna as Gopi in Vrindavan or Manjari in Vrindavan. Right now, this might also, now the person might not be doing any offenses, but still he will not go, might not go in a two-step process to Vaikuntha. What is that? He will have to go through Bhauma Vrindavan for getting training to be a Manjari. So it will be an intermediate step where he will go to Bhauma Vrindavan, then he will go to Vrindavan. But for those who don't want this special prema, they might just go directly to Vaikuntha. As Ajamila, Ajamila was not wanting any special prema. Is this clear?
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, from Bhauma Vrindavana, one comes back to Bhuloka to live a regular life and practice
No, no, no,
bhakti
no.
and then go to Vaikuntha.
No, Bhauma Vrindavan is taking part in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan when Krishna manifests. And then from there they'll become completely purified and then they'll directly go to Goloka.
So Bhauma Vrindavan is in the material world.
Bhauma Vrindavan means when Krishna comes to material world to demonstrate his pastimes for his leelas.
Got it. Okay, Hare Krishna.
That's called Bhauma Vrindavan. Okay, any questions on what I have summarized? 3 points only I have discussed. One is person who chants without offense continuously, he directly goes to Vaikuntha. A person who chants without offense but has special prema requirement might get delayed. Third, a person was chanted once without offense but is now chanting with offense. He'll have to go through the gradual process. Similarly, a person who is chanted without offense but who is intentionally committing sin and also doing offense, he will also go through a gradual process. Now, just one more point before I open it up to questions. Now, okay, let me just open one document. It's important to understand this clearly. Why are we not taking? What are you able to see? Able to see Prabhupada 1 second. So I'll stop share. Okay, so you can see this, right? Now, chanting in Nama Bhasa, entry into Vaikuntha. Chanting in Nama Bhasa, but with special prema. Entry into Goloka might be delayed because one goes to Bhauma Vrindavan. Okay. Now chanting once in and subsequently chanting with offenses. Gradual process. Then and also committing intentional sins. Gradual process. Okay, now for these two, last two, there might be suffering in a devotee's life, which is ordained by the Lord for purifying the devotee. Okay. So this is important. And devotee should have faith in Krishna and go through the purification. This is not like ordinary karma phala, suffering. This is okay? This is clear?
Prabhu.
Anybody has any questions? No? That I have clarified it.
With the second one,
Hmm.
where chanting in Namabhasa but with special prema,
Hmm.
how is it different from the first one? What
Yeah,
is the
first one might be just somebody wants to go to Vaikuntha and worship
Vishnu?
Vishnu in Dasya.
Okay.
So
And
it
the
is,
second one is, then isn't the second one better?
yeah, this is what we have to go
That
for.
is, should
This is
be,
what we
we
have to
should
go
be
for.
aiming for that, right?
Yeah.
Prabhu,
But this is the fastest. This is the fastest. So I put in in reverse order of slowness. So this is the fastest, this is the next fastest, this is the next fastest, and this is the slowest. Yeah.
Prabhu, we have after Namabhasa also we have further stages, no Prabhu.
That is Shuddhanama. That is what is the gradual process. There's only 3 stages in chanting. One is Nama Prada, Nama Bhasa, and then Shuddhanama.
Shuddhanama.
So now we are chanting in Nama Bhasa. Then subsequently chanting with offenses means we come down to Nama Prada. Then again we have to come back to Nama Bhasa and then come to Shuddhanama. Yeah, Supriya Mantaji. Okay, Vinod Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, just a clarification on the definition of Namabhasa. Namabhasa means offenseless chanting, right, Prabhu?
Offenseless chanting, yeah.
Offenseless chanting. Okay. Thank you.
And I'll discuss more about that from Hari Nama Chintamani after this purport is over. Maybe I'll discuss some things from that book.
Sure.
Prabhuji, this unintentional sin, it will have sinful effects will be there, but it will be less, or how, Prabhuji?
No, unintentional sin will not have any effects.
Any effects? Okay.
Unintentional sin will not have, because that unintentional sin is happening because of force of previous vasanas. It's like that fan being switched off. But it can't, I mean, even if there is a little intent, see, generally how this actually happens is that initially it will be unintentional. But because there is some rasa in that sin we are experiencing, if we develop some taste towards that sin, and then it becomes intentional. So you have to be very careful. So even unintentional sin is dangerous. It's not that we should not take it lightly.
But the ignorant person, he won't even know that he is
Yeah, so then he will not intentionally sin. But if he is intentionally sinning, like, oh, if I do this, I will get this, I will enjoy like this, then it becomes intentional sinning. Ignorant or not ignorant, they will know that much, that I should not do wrong things. And Krishna will give Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, intelligence for those who are sincere. He will give intelligence.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Anybody?
Prabhu, one more question. So here, when we say the fourth one, chanting once in Namavasa and subsequently chanting with offenses. So here, you had mentioned that by offenseless chanting even once will remove all our sins, right?
Yeah, but if you want to intentionally commit sin, then that won't go. See, that is when you're doing unintentional sin. That in unintentional sins will not take any effect, no result, and the unintentional sin also will stop because the seed will be destroyed. See, that would have happened very easily if we had not committed offenses. So there is some result of actually committing offenses, right? So that connection we will try to find. So basically the question is saying that chanting once in Namabhasa, all sins are actually eliminated. But if somebody, how come one is actually ending up committing sin? It could be because of the offenses, right? So that connection we have to find out, saying that why would a person who has even chanted once in Namabhasa end up doing any offense? Previously, there was one explanation saying that it was just like impressions, but it's not very complete. It's not very clear, saying that why would a person still sin after chanting Namabhasa. That alone, I am thinking that it's because of our anarthas, meaning intentionally wanting to sin, like what happened to Jadabharat, right? He intentionally wanted to get attached to a deer, right? So if you are doing anything intentionally, then possibly it will create problems. But otherwise, it is just like a toothless snake.
Understood, Prabhu. So you are also saying that generally when devotees are in a neophyte stage, we do a Namavasa chanting, right?
Yeah.
That's where I was trying to understand. Like, so when we are neophyte, we would have done in a Namavasa stage, and then still, since we are trying to understand what it is, there are chances that we do sins and
No,
also
sins and
offenses.
nama. See sins. Okay, so okay, so the sins, the propensities. The only thing we have to find out is what, why, even though one nama bhasa can destroy even the desires of sin, why are those desires remaining? Now, the only reason I can think of is our intentional desire to sin, right? Because actually, a person will, I mean, naturally there are no old desires. It's now some new desire that is being developed because of maybe those impressions. So anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is that intentional sin is our problem, right? And our nama prada is our problem. These two anyway we have to focus on. Now whether we are able to completely understand these connections amongst all these things or not, we have to still focus on not committing intentional sins and not doing nama prada. Right now, what is the connection? Why does the intentional sin manifest is something that we have to try and understand. That's the only question here, right? So I'll make a point here saying that why does a devotee who has chanted in Nama Bhasa even come to the stage of committing intentional sin? So
So,
this alone we have to answer. I don't have a question. I don't have an answer for this as of now.
okay. So in this case, Prabhu, like even the sins are uprooted, right? In chanting once in Namavasa,
Yes, sins are uprooted. That's why
uprooted.
I'm saying how
How it
does
is?
a devotee come back to committing intentional sin is not answered as of now.
Okay, okay. And
And my
does
speculation on that is desire. It is the
desire
desire of the jiva.
does even previous vasana still exist then?
Yeah, that is said that it will be like impressions, but
Okay,
because there is no intention to do sin, that will go off.
got it. Okay,
So, but
okay.
how a devotee ends up getting into this committing intentional sin stage, that is unclear,
Understood. Okay.
at least as of now. We'll see if we get more clarity.
Prabhuji, may I ask if you have time?
Yeah.
Actually, I missed also in the beginning, I'll hear the recording. But Prabhuji, the question is Nama Bhasa stage like a devotee overcomes inattentive chanting and Aham and Mama in this Nama Bhasa?
Yeah. Nama Bhasa is everything is gone. There is
Okay.
no tinge of Nama Parada. And we'll discuss what that Nama Parada is in detail for the benefit of
Okay.
others. But yeah, there is no Nama Bhasa here, Nama Parada here. There's no tinge of Nama Parada.
Okay. And one more question, like every living entity will not get his Swarupa like revealed. Like
He
every
will get his Rupa revealed, provided he follows the process. For that, one has to become pure first, right? So he has to come out of Nama. So one has to end Nama Prada, cross Nama Bhasa, and start chanting Shuddha Nama for constitutional position to get revealed.
okay. Because we discussed now only with those devotees with special prem will go to
No, but
Bhama
that is
Vrindavan.
revealed. That is revealed to them.
Yes, yes.
That is revealed to them. But now, for them to achieve that, there is one more step in the middle to go to Bhama Vrindavan because they need some apprenticeship, some training.
Yes. And for those who are going directly to Vaikuntha, for them, it is only Dasya Ras.
Yeah,
Like
it'll be mostly
they have
Dasya
that.
only. Yeah.
And another thing also in the last point, you summarized that devotee will have suffering for like getting purified. It will
Yeah.
be like intervention by Lord. So
Yes.
how do a devotee identify that if the suffering
You
is
don't have to
through
identify.
the
Just
Lord?
take everything as just for purification. We don't have to. I mean, how does it matter? How does it matter whether it's our because of our past sin or because of Lord's intervention? And the devotee generally thinks I'm so unqualified that it's my sin. my
Yeah,
past
that is
sins.
the point. Yeah, because the devotee doesn't think himself to be qualified to.
But that's okay. As long as we are purifying ourselves, that's the whole. The idea is purification, whether whatever be the reason for our suffering. The idea is to
Okay.
purify our heart.
Like we can't identify where we are. Like I was
We
just asking.
can, but it requires a lot more deeper understanding of ourselves, understanding of the process. We can.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
For that, you have to understand the whole, different stages of bhakti in detail. Then we might be able to understand. For example, Adu Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, all those we might have to understand. It is possible, but our stage of understanding of Shastra, we might not be able to. But great devotees will be able to understand.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Last question, Prabhu. Prabhu, in the second point, it is based on the Krishna decision to reveal, Prabhu. Like it is Krishna willing that
Yeah,
he
everywhere
accepts.
in all these stages, it's completely dependent on the mercy of Krishna. Don't think that anywhere it is just a result of my effort. Any of these is just a mercy of Krishna eventually.
Okay, and this Bhauma Vrindavan, it is like different universes where we will be part of that.
Yeah, where Krishna is manifesting himself for his pastimes, there we will go.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Anything more? Okay, this is PhD. For me also it's PhD, so I'm just trying to understand what it is. Okay, so we'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Gaurav Bhakta ki jai. Okay, then disconnect.